tubes of you. It says, waiting for you. I'll pop back over and say hello to everybody. Hi. Waving to everybody. Hey, both of us are logged in for Ain't You a Peach on Ain't You a Peach. Hello.
Huh. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I was like, what in the world?
I must have spelled it right for a change. Is that or my spell checker's not working? Hello. Hello, Moto. Okay, there's that one. Hey, there we are. And kill that.
Yeah, it took a minute. I don't know what happened.
Hello, Rumi. Let's see, share on Twitter. And twit, or tweet. Alrighty then. Alright, we can close that out. We twitted. We have twitted the world. Back over to the tubes of you. Hey, John. Happy Independence Day, brother. Happy Independence Day. Yay. We have one. Hello, John.
I don't see anybody. I guess you can only see them because I don't see nobody.
Well, it says John Kloppenberg had joined.
I
Hello,
don't see
John.
yet.
Happy 4th of July, Independence Day.
Okay, you ready for some music?
Always, my dear. I never could tap dance. It's too wet to plow. No, it's actually dry.
Well, here goes.
Leave us to it, do it, my dearie. Although tonight we probably should have played like Star Spangled Banner or something.
Happy Independence Day, everybody.
Happy Independence Day.
Welcome to Ain't You a Peach. So,
Saturday
how has your
holiday.
week been this week? Lots of fireworks?
Well, here in town, yes, they have been setting them off quite regularly, which is great. I should have gotten some myself. I even had Sig Farrell told me about a place over on the other side of town that had 5-inch mortar shells, which I should have gotten my ass over there in time to get some, but alas, I didn't do it. So, and other than that, I've been letting them go off around me. I'm waiting to see them. How about yours? How's your week been?
Oh, yeah. It's been pop, 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 pop every night. It's crazy.
Every night.
Other than that, it's been a good week.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it was a good week. Should we kick this puppy off like we normally do in the evening
Let's
times?
do it.
Leave us to it, do it, my little friends and family. Good evening, my fellow Ain't You a Peachers. I feel like I'm on a pulpit sometimes. Happy Independence Day. It's the 186th day with 180 still to go. Today is Independence Day. Yay! And that commemorates the adoption of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, declaring independence from the Kingdom of Great Britain, making this our 244th celebration. It's also National Spare Ribs Day. Nothing like some grilled ribs on the 4th of July, slathered in barbecue sauce, hot off the grill. Ooh, baby. Make them tangy, make them tart. You can do them however you like. It's also National Hop a Park Day, and that creates an opportunity to explore the parks in your area and learn more about your community. It's also National Caesar Salad Day. Yum, I love it. Using a raw or coddled egg and Worcestershire sauce. Now, personally, I don't use Worcestershire sauce in mine. Are the main ingredients. Chef Caesar Cardini developed a salad that stood the test of time.
Did you say?
Fixing broken windows is really a pain in the glass.
Did
Oh,
you
it's a happy
say?
fourth.
Did you say Caesar salad?
Yes, ma'am, it is Caesar salad.
I've never had a Caesar salad with an egg on it.
Oh, no, that's the primary ingredient. My family has been making Caesar salads forever, and 3 weeks. Oh, you take a little bit of olive oil, some lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemons, right? You got to pick the seeds out of the lemons after you squeeze them. Parmesan cheese, garlic, a little salt, some pepper, and raw egg, Parmesan cheese, mix all up together and put it on top of the salad. Oh, it would make you want to smack your great grandmama. It is so good. It's better than going to Olive Garden just for the salad and breadsticks. Caesar salad is so delicious.
I've never. I love Caesar salads, but I've never had one with an egg.
Well, it's always made with an egg. Anytime you've had a Caesar salad, it's been, yeah. Now, the chef's recipe with calling for Worcestershire sauce, I don't recall adding any Worcestershire sauce to mine. Let's see, and John says, any salad is a Caesar salad. I'm going to stamp it a few times. Et tu, John, et tu. Oh, my God. Beware the 4th of July and Caesar, you may get shish kebab.
Maybe we should do like the girl on that video and stab, stab, stab. Oh, don't tell me you didn't see that video.
Oh, yes. I loved where she got dogged for it.
Oh, yeah. She supposedly lost her job, but they found out later that she didn't even have a job there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
well, supposedly she's a Harvard graduate.
Yeah.
From the Ivy League Harvard School. Of course, like I was typed into Brad one morning because he was talking about it too. Even AOC has a degree, so I mean,
Wow, Rocky just messaged she is on mile 1 of her 5K. Autism Speaks, 3.1 miles. She's got, so you got 3.1 miles to go? Or something like that.
Woo-hoo. I'm on mile 1 of my 5K. Right, 3.1 for the equals the 5K.
Oh, okay,
so
okay,
I got it.
So she's got 2.1 left to go. You just keep going.
So, hey.
Go, Rocky. Go, Rocky, go.
Go, Rocky, go, Rocky, go, Rocky, go. See,
you can do it.
Running around the coffee table there like that gal did in the room. Ran around the bed. Did a marathon in her house by running around the same place the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yay, Rocky.
So what have you got for us today?
What have we got? Ooh, I got all kinds of stuff. Let us
have you been to the doctor to have it checked out?
Oh, well, I don't know. Penicillin cures most things.
That's true.
Yay, Rocky. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time, and you know me, I couldn't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Let alone talk and type.
Yeah, that's me pretty much lately.
Oh, well, those are supposed to be exclamation points. Seeing how it is the independence of our great nation of Marca, I figured it would only be fitting that we start with the fact that it was started back in 1776. And it begins when, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of earth the separate and equal station to which laws of nature, the laws of God, entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
Woo, it just thundered
We
here. I'm
hold
sorry.
these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, derived their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to the institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient cause, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, purchasing inevitable the same object, evidence, and designed to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such a government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their form, systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeat injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object to the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. That
Just
is
in
the
case,
first part
letting
of the
you
Declaration of Independence.
I'm letting you know real quick. It is lightning, really weird. Either it's lightning or they're shooting fireworks. I'm not really sure, but it sounds like it's lightning. So I just letting you know.
Leave us hope that we shan't lose the net.
Let's hope.
They had a good idea way back 244 years ago, and thank the good Lord, we're still kicking it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've got a few dents and dings in us. They're getting a little bit silly with it.
Just a few.
Well, we got a lot of them trying to go the way of Venezuela, like that. And that little gal in that video that you sent me, man, she was a cutie too.
Oh, the
Like she said.
the Venezuelan lady.
Yeah, the little Venezuelan gal.
Yeah.
I guess she's so thin and petite because they don't eat real good over there. Well, they don't have anything to eat over there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no,
let's hope-
she's over here. She's over here.
She's here now. Oh,
Yeah,
I know
she's here now.
But I didn't notice when she was moving her hands around if she had a ring or anything. Because I mean, I didn't want to interrupt. If she had a ring on it, her boyfriend might get mad, or her husband, whichever. I'm allergic to lead. I really am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how the whole thing got started. Old George there was being a penile cranium, so he kicked his butt out.
That's funny. So I have a list, and it's I'm going to be talking throughout the show with some of it, but I'm going to give you the first 9. It is 9 things that some of you may know, some of you may not know. The first one is that Congress didn't actually vote for independence on the 4th. 12 of the 13 states approved the resolution for independence on July 2nd, not July 4th, when the Declaration was actually adopted. New York didn't vote until July 9th. Many of the signers didn't attach their names to the document until August 2nd. John Adams famously insisted the annual celebration of independence be held on July 2nd, not July 4th, and refused to attend any event on the latter day. Just think, it could have been celebrated August 2nd.
Isn't it wild? They had impasses of when and how to do things even back when we started.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
It's nice to know that some things stay consistent in life.
I know, right? So the 4th of July did not become an official holiday. This is number 2. Until over a century after America declared its independence. In 1776, John Adams wrote a letter to his wife that American independence should be celebrated with pomp and parade, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other.
I like that idea.
Though early celebrations began the following year, the 4th of July was not designated a federal holiday until 1870. In 1941 is when it actually became a paid federal employee holiday.
Oh. So before that, everybody just took the day off. They weren't getting paid for it.
I guess so. So the next one is, during the Revolutionary War, George Washington gave his soldiers a special treat for the holiday. On July 4th, on July 4th, 1778, he ordered a double ration of rum for his soldiers. He also ordered a cannon salute to celebrate the occasion. Drinking was a large part of historical 4th of July celebrations. It was a tradition to drink 13 toasts, one for each state in the Union.
If I have 13 shots to kill me, it would.
So number 4 is, in a bizarre coincidence, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams both died on July 4th, 1826, which was the nation's 50th birthday. The two founding fathers and political adversaries died within 5 hours of each other. As Adam laid on his deathbed, unaware that Jefferson had died earlier that day in Monticello, he reportedly spoke his last words, "Jefferson still survives." James Monroe was the 3rd president to die on July 4th. He passed away in 1831. So we've had 3 presidents who have actually passed away on the 4th.
On the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Wowzer. I never knew that. That's really interesting.
See, I told you. Some things you know and some things you might not know.
I think it's cool.
So number 5 is Calvin Coolidge. He's the only president to be born on the 4th. He's the 30th president. And other 4th birthdays include first daughter Malaya Obama, gangster Mayor Lansky, author Nathaniel Hawthorne, and reality TV star Mike the Situation Sorrentino. Never heard of him. And my birthday's tomorrow, so I almost made the 4th.
Really?
Yep. My mama was in labor watching the fireworks out the window.
Well, here.
Okay, number 6. Are you going to play
or did it play? Is it playing?
I can hear it barely.
Barely. It's turned up as long as I go. Oh, well. It was supposed to be Happy Birthday by
I hear it, the Beatles.
Sunshine. Well, actually, it's Underground Sunshine. They did it before the Beatles.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I didn't know that. See, you taught me something.
Trivia. Who knew?
So number 6.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you. The United States isn't the only country to celebrate independence on July 4th. The Philippines also gained its independence from U.S. colonial control on July 4th, 1946, and the day became a national holiday. In 1962, the day was changed to June 12th in light of rising Filipino nationalism and resentment towards prior American colonism.
Colonization.
July 4th remains on the books as Philippine Republic Day, but isn't widely observed. Number 7. Celebrating with fireworks is as old as the holiday itself. At the first 4th of July celebrations, which took place in Philadelphia in 1777, revelers fired a cannon 13 times, once for each colony. That night, 13 fireworks were fired off from the city's commons. The tradition has only blossomed since then. Of course, we know I got them popping around me. In 1934, an explorer in Antarctica set off fireworks to celebrate the holiday in relatively warm weather for the continent, which was 33 degrees below zero.
That'll make the volume control knob stand out and say, hello!
Number 8. Today, fireworks are a massive industry. According to the American Pyrotechnic Association, Americans spent over $1 billion on fireworks in 2017. That number has tripled.
Goodness.
I know. Is that not crazy?
That is, well, you know how nephew comes by the house here all the time, and inherited nephew Brad. He was showing me videos of what they consider to be the largest mortar shell. It weighed 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It was humongous, and it lit up the entire night. I mean, it looked like you set a nuke off in the video that they were showing. It was amazing.
That's crazy.
But, you know, gunpowder is what makes fire, you know, like bottle rockets and all that. It's gunpowder that makes them go off. And Fort Henry was attacked back in 1777.
Right.
They decided to attack it. There's a story about a battle that took place there. And the name of the story is a gunpowder story. It's the heroism of Elizabeth Zane.
Huh.
The background, the following short story is adapted version by author Frances Jenkins Oslet in her book, Good Stories for Great Holidays, 1914. It's a story about a young girl whose courage saves several patriot families and protects an important fort in the Revolutionary War. In the autumn of 1777, the English decided to attack Fort Henry at Wheeling in northeastern Virginia. This was an important border fort named in honor of Patrick Henry, and around which had grown up a small village of about 25 log houses. A band of Indians under the leadership of one Simon Gritley, who supplied by the English with muskets and ammunition and sent against the fort. This Greeley was a white man who, when a boy, had been captured by the Indians and brought up by them. He had joined their tribe and was ferocious and bloodthirsty leader of the savage bands. When the settlers of Wheeling heard of Simon Greeley and his Indians were advancing on the town, they left their homes and hastened to the fort. Scarcely had they done so when the savages made their appearance. The defenders of the fort knew that a desperate fight must now take place, and there seemed little probability that they would be able to hold out against the assailants. They had only 42 fighting men, including old men and boys, while the Indian force numbered about 500. What was worse, they had but small amount of gunpowder. A keg contained a main supply had been left by accident in one of the village houses. This misfortune, as you will soon see, brought about the brave action of the young girl. Wouldn't it be terrible to be in the middle of a firefight and decide,
I don't think I'd want to be there.
No powder. Oh, it's over there in Sally's house. After several encounters with the savages, which took place in the village, the defenders withdrew to the fort. Then a number of Indians advanced with loud yells, firing as they came. The fire was returned by the defenders, each of whom had picked out his man and taken deadly aim. Most of the attacking party were killed, and the whole body of Indians fell back into the nearby woods. There, they awaited a more favorable opportunity to renew hostilities. The men in the fort now discovered, to their great dismay, that their gunpowder was nearly gone.
Uh-oh.
And what was to be done? Unless they could get another supply, they would not be able to hold the fort. And they and their women and children would either be massacred or carried into captivity. Colonel Shepard, who was in command, explained to the settlers exactly how matters stood. He also told them of the forgotten keg of powder, which was in the house standing about 60 yards from the gate of the fort. It was plain to all of them that if any man should attempt to procure the keg, he would surely be shot and killed by the Indians. In spite of this, 3 of the 4 young men volunteered to go on the dangerous mission. Colonel Shepard replied that he could not spare 3 or 4 strong men, as they were already too few to defense. Only one man should make the attempt, and they might decide who was to go, as they caused a dispute. Just then, a young girl stepped forward and said she was ready to go. Her name was Elizabeth Zane, and she had just returned from a boarding school in Philadelphia. This made her brave offer all the more remarkable, since she had not been bred up in the fearless life of the border. At first, the men would not hear of her running such a risk. She was told that it meant certain death, but she urged that they should not spare a man for defense, and the loss of one girl would not be an important matter. So, after some discussion, the settlers agreed that she should go for the gunpowder. Little missy, if you want to go for that powder, you fetch. The house had already been started.
Go!
I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. It was getting too serious.
That's
The
funny.
house, as had already been stated, stood nearly 60 yards from the fort, and Elizabeth hoped to run thither and back. I love that. Thither and back to the powder in a few minutes. The gate was opened, and she passed through, running like a deer. A few straggling Indians were dodging about in the log houses of the town. They saw the fleeing girl, but for some reason they did not fire upon her. They may have supposed that she was just
A girl
running for
running.
home to rescue her clothes. Possibly they thought it would be a waste of good ammunition to fire at a woman when they were sure of taking her to fort before long. So they looked on quietly while, with flying skirts, Elizabeth ran across the open and entered the house. She found the cake of powder, which was not large. She lifted it with both arms, and holding it precious burden close to her breast, she darted out of the house and ran in the direction of the fort. When the Indians saw what she was carrying, they uttered fierce yells and fired. The bullets flew like hail about her, but not one so much as touched her garments. With the keg hugged to her bosom, she ran on and reached the fort in safety. The gate closed upon her just as the bullets of the Indians buried themselves in the thick panels. The rescued gunpowder enabled the little garrison to hold out until help arrived from other settlements near Wheeling, and Giddy, seeing that there were no further hopes of taking the fort, withdrew his band. Thus, a weak but brave girl was the means of saving strong men and their wives and children. It was a heroic act, and America should never forget to honor the name Elizabeth Zane.
Go, Elizabeth. And go,
Yay.
Rocky! She finished another mile. She's got 1.1 mile to go. Yes.
Woo, girl! If Elizabeth can run out and fetch gunpowder, you can finish
Yes,
your
you
marathon.
can. You can do it. Okay.
Whoa.
So, number 9, and everybody should know this one, is July 4th is the biggest hot dog day. Americans
Yeah.
consume roughly 150 million hot dogs on the 4th of July, enough to stretch from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles 5 times. And I'm sure everybody's heard of Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, which is over a century old. It takes place every 4th of July. The record currently held by Joey Chestnut is 72 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Oh my gosh.
And those are whole hot dogs. Those are hot dogs and bun.
Yes. I mean, that is crazy. And I have a video for all of you who like hot dogs. It's a video of various different wiener doggies. Oops.
Oop, where's the bell? Ding.
Hang on, I gotta fix it first, real quick.
I got a cowbell. Yours broken.
Let's see. Okay, why is that one not?
Close enough?
Trying to get this one over here to work.
Well, naturally. Ooh.
Hang on a second. There it goes. Okay. So they're both.
I see dogs.
All right, here we go.
So far, I'm looking at hot dogs. There we go. Ooh, that one looks good with the pickles. Ooh. An egg. Yeah, I never thought about putting an egg on it. Spain. Conquista dog.
Yeah, I don't know about.
Chorizo is good. Ooh, pineapple relish. That might be interesting.
I like the
Ooh, the deviled eggs.
Yeah, I like the slaw dog. I wouldn't mind it with a little bacon on it though. The bacon one looked pretty good. But
Yeah, bacon.
then there
You
was
can never
one
go wrong with bacon.
and then there was one with slaw and pineapple, and yeah, I'm pineapple doesn't go on pizza or hot dogs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just ain't happening.
Sometimes we just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah. Gross. Gross.
Oh my goodness. That's
So
funny.
what else have you got?
No, let's see. We did the gunpowder story. We've got a whole bunch of humor in the military from Reader's Digest. Here's a little story. It's kind of, I guess GIs can find it amusing. An absent-minded GI thinking back to my year in Vietnam, I find my mind moving away from the times when the barbarians were not only at the gates, but in the wire as well, with malice in their hearts. I'm reminded of a different story of conflict. The scene that plays behind my drowsy eyelids of me and the Cambodi, riding on the backs of motorcycles down a large boulevard in Saigon, probably Tudu Street. We were both comfortably smashed, which is why I was on the motorcycle in the first place. I certainly wouldn't have gotten on one sober. Riding them must have been Cambodi's idea. I don't remember where we went or what we did that night. I just remember heading back to home still on the motorbike. The driver suddenly decided to take a shortcut, ignoring my protest. I found myself traveling through a decidedly dark and unsavory part of town, something I wasn't too happy about in my cheerfully pickled state of being. The driver continued to pay little heed to my protest until I remember, wonder of wonders, that I had neglected to check my 45 and at the 169th along with my other gear when I arrived in Tan Son Nhut. And somehow that seems to happen when I come to Saigon. I discovered my mistake and that the team house, I hadn't wanted to leave the gun lying around, so I was just snuggled and snafely.
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah. I know it snuggled safely in the waistband beneath my shirt. Wow, I couldn't get that out to save me if you paid me. It was
Oh.
remarkable how quick the driver's English improved when he felt the muzzle of the large weapon behind his ear. Or maybe it was just the cheery click of it being cocked, so focused his attention. At any rate, he soon found his way back to a more brightly lit populated street where we parted company amicably and separated ways. I think parting friends, at least he didn't wait to be paid, and he didn't call me a dinky now until he looked back and was speeding off that I saw both his hands were empty, I guess riding along with an angry drunk pressing a 45 in the crack of his ass had soured his disposition somewhat.
You had a hard time with all that. We're a little
That
tongue
one was
tied
rough.
tonight.
A little bit on that back part. That back part did get kind of a little wrapped up around the eye teeth there, did it
Oh
not?
god, that was too funny.
And it was on
Oh,
the same spot. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, okay, I'm reading these words again, and no, I'm not doing it. It says it wasn't going to come out the mouth. Nope, not going to do it.
oh. So I'm
There's only
sure
one cure for that: more
some more
alcohol.
tequila. Tequila.
Oh, grape juice, grape juice. Good Lord, if I had a glass of tequila that big, you wouldn't be
So
talking to me for 6 months.
I guess everybody's used to various different things in their area going on. I have a small list of various. It says 7 weird offbeat 4th of July parades, but it is not just parades. So,
Okay,
apparently in Willimantic, Connecticut, don't know where that is, they have a Willie Boom Box parade. So
a
they've had
Willie
this
boombox.
for the past 30 years. I'm assuming, let's see, no marching bands were available to perform in the parade. So
Okay.
they decided to suggested the local radio station play marching band music while parade participants carried boombox radios.
Oh my God, the
Oh,
old 80s boombox. Some of those things were, as big as, Volkswagens.
I know, right? I remember when they used to be like he gongas, you put them up on your shoulder and all that kind of stuff. So, of course, anybody here in Atlanta knows we have the Peachtree Road Race. It's a sacrilegious
You have
thing.
which what?
The Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta.
Road
It's a
race?
road race. The Peachtree Road Race. It's a race.
Okay.
It's a 10K.
Oh, okay. So Rocky just did half of it.
Yeah. So in Murrells Inlet in South Carolina, they have the Inlet Boat Parade. They've done this since 1984. Bend, Oregon, they have a pet parade. They've done it since the 1930s. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, they have a midnight parade. So they've been
Midnight,
doing it.
as in at midnight, or
The midnight parade
like for the
has
horse.
it has occurred for over 40 years, and despite its start time, attracts 80,000 spectators.
It
I
must start at midnight.
I don't know if they start at midnight, like technically the 4th, or I would think it would be like midnight on the 3rd, the 4th. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I don't think it's midnight on the 4th. Like, Okay, military time, 1200 hours on the 4th. So that would be. So,
Midnight.
West Seattle, Washington, they have a kids' parade. Doesn't say how long they've been doing it. World's shortest parade in Aptos, California. Apparently, Aptos, California is a town of about 40 miles. It's south of San Jose. The town spans a whopping 2 blocks. So It's a 0.6 mile parade. It begins at 10 a.m. and it has antique cars, floats under 13 feet high, bicyclists, walkers, music, and decorated trucks. And they go literally 0.6 miles.
So it starts as it ends.
That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, kind of crazy. I don't know.
That's wild. You wouldn't even have enough time to. Yeah, you couldn't sneeze. You could. Yeah, it would be over before it got.
Don't blink.
Done.
Don't blink. You blink.
Yeah, really.
Oh darn! I missed the whole damn
Yay!
parade.
It looks like Rocky finished. She says done.
Woo! Way to
Yay!
go, Rocky!
Way to go, girl.
Yay! We knew you could do it.
She's quick. She's
Yeah.
real quick. Wow, she got
I would still be probably closer
like
to the starting
6 minute
line.
miles or something. You and what's that guy's name? Bolt. Yeah, that's it. Her and Bolt.
Yeah,
They'd be out there on the track together.
I wouldn't do very well. Nope, nope, nope. So what else you got?
I got all kinds of these little.
Oh, we got the lunar. You want to do the lunar thing since that's tonight?
Oh yeah, we do have that too.
Mm-hmm.
We have a double shot. We've got the full moon tonight coming up with planets around it. Saturn and I have to scroll up. Let's see, what do we got? Saturn and okay, July's full moon is called the star. Let's say the buck moon. That's right. Buck moon is tonight. And we also have a partial or prenuptial lunar eclipse. It'll start around 11. Oh, scroll back down. 11:04, 11:07 Eastern time, and will end at 1:52 Eastern tomorrow morning. So get out and look at our big, pretty full moon. And I think you have a picture of it too, do you not?
Yeah, they say that it's supposed to.
And we got Jupiter
like 11.
and Saturn is the.
They're saying on the article that I have, it's supposed to be like from 11:45 to I want to say 1 something. So it's gonna go.
Yeah, well, Eastern time,
slow.
11:07 is when it starts,
Okay.
right? And that's when it'll start to cover up, and then it'll be totally uncovered at 1:52. So you have from 11 until 2.
Okay, so
basically.
here's the pictures of the various different
The buck moon.
yeah, the various different moons, I guess throughout the night. Right?
The different phases. You're right.
Okay, and there is also a video.
I like the video. It gives it of the constellations, or talks about the constellations.
Okay, so it's kind of long. So
July. Tonight's sky.
But it's pretty.
Constellations.
can you see it?
Go to big screen if you would, my dear.
I am.
There we go.
The warm nights of July provide endless summer treasures to enjoy.
Hey, Michael.
Scuttling above the southern horizon is Scorpius, the scorpion, who in Greek mythology stung Orion to death before being crushed. Scorpius's prominent fishhook star pattern resembles the creature's outline. The heart of the scorpion is marked by Antares, a reddish supergiant star nearing the end of its life. Antares is one of the largest known stars.
Antares is pretty easy to see.
If placed at the center of our solar system, its bloated bulk would extend past the orbit of Mars. Next to Antares lies the globular star cluster M4. NASA's Hubble Space Telescope has resolved the center of the cluster, filled with thousands of ancient stars, all of which formed around the same time and are aging together.
Isn't that neat?
Two other star clusters, the Butterfly Cluster and the Ptolemy Cluster, can be found on the other end of Scorpius, just above the Stinger. These are known as open clusters because they are much less compact than globular clusters. Each of these contains only about 100 stars, most of which are hot, blue, and much younger than those in globular clusters.
Too
East
cool.
of Scorpius
I have to
is
say, clearly not
Sagittarius,
the clouds.
the Archer. The glowing star clouds in Sagittarius are filled with star clusters, including M22, one of the nearest globular star clusters to Earth. A Hubble image shows the core of the cluster. Interactions in this crowded environment cause the massive corpses of stars, including black holes and neutron stars, to move toward the core. Strung along the Milky Way, above the teapot, are numerous nebulas, glowing clouds of gas and dust, where new stars are forming. Three of the most prominent are the Swan Nebula, the Lagoon Nebula, and the Trifid Nebula.
And they're out there in the gas, right? So they've been to Taco Bell.
NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope collects infrared light from these regions, revealing cool and warm gas that is otherwise invisible to human eyes. Over millions of years, the gas and dust in stellar nurseries like these will eventually come together to form new stars, adding to the constellations in the sky. Explore our galaxy's
pictures, huh?
glittering
Thanks.
star clusters, glowing nebulas, and legendary figures from your own backyard. Celestial wonders await you in tonight's sky.
Well, it was pretty interesting. Now I'm trying to figure out
Wasn't that cool?
how to get it to go away. There we go. I couldn't get
We
it
are
to
stuck
reduce.
in space. We're on a mission to go
Yes.
where no man has gone before.
Yeah, I may even take my telescope out.
That was cool. I
tonight.
like the way they do that. They did a really cool job letting you know what was out there for tonight.
Well, I'm hoping that because it was kind of cloudy. I don't know. I hope that I'm able to go out
There
and
was
see
the
it.
quarters. That was cool.
I'd like to get some good pictures. All that good stuff,
Of
you know.
the eclipse tonight,
Yes.
it's just going to kind of get slightly tinted, from my understanding, because it's the penumbral, so it's just going to be, the outside. I'm home and I'm done. Yay, Rocky. Hey, you type quicker than I do, girl.
Ah,
That is marvelous. I wish I had the. Hey, Jen, how are you, hon? Happy Independence Day. I wish I had the intestinal fortitude to. I should run. I mean, good Lord, I'm getting boobs bigger than 13-year-old. I need to do something,
oh, I need to do something.
but I don't know what it would be.
I'm too lazy.
That's my problem.
I am way too lazy.
That is my problem in a shell nut. Yeah.
So, want to hear some
I don't
more
mind
interesting?
walking. I mean, I get out there and I mow the lawn, and
Want to hear some
it just
more
doesn't do any good.
interesting facts? Do you
Yes,
want?
I love. You have some great ones. I think those are pretty cool. Some of those things I did not know,
Well, this
and then some I
one,
went, okay, I've heard that. But
this one I didn't know. Apparently, Ripley's. You know, Ripley's. Believe it or not,
right, right,
Ripley's made the national anthem official. In November 3rd, 1929, Robert Ripley drew a panel pointing out that the United States did not have an official national anthem. At that time, the United States was in the middle of Prohibition, and the Star Spangled Banner then
right.
was based off of an old drinking song. The Star Spangled Banner was made the official national anthem by Congress and Woodrow Wilson on March 3rd, 1931. The working title, originally, before it was changed to the Star Spangled Banner, was The Defense of Fort McHenry. Did you know that one?
Right. Because it was written for
It was an old drinking song.
when they were bombing. A
I thought that
drinking
was
song.
I thought that was pretty
Ah.
interesting. It was a drinking song originally. Another
Here's to the
interesting
country.
another interesting thing was in New England, eating salmon. I don't know if I'm saying that according to everybody's protocol, but salmon. On the 4th of July.
Yeah, we catch it at the Galapagos Islands.
Shush. It's a tradition in New England. They started doing that because it was kind of coincidental. Because during the middle of the summer, that's when the salmon is abundant in the rivers in that whole region. So they were getting a lot of
Okay.
it. So they decided to lump it into the 4th of July. And it's been that way ever since. So, kind of interesting.
I'll be darned.
Hmm.
I this not knew.
And in Massachusetts, it was the first state to recognize the 4th of July. Massachusetts recognized it as an official holiday on July 3rd, 1781, making it the first state to do so. Congress hadn't even begun
I'll be
designated
darned.
federal holidays until June 28, 1870, with the first four being New Year's Day, Independence Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. This decreed that those holidays were holidays for federal employees. However, there was a distinction. The fourth was a holiday within the District of Columbia only. It took years of legislation
Ooh.
to expand the holiday to all federal employees. And that's it. That's all I have.
I'll be darned. That is really cool, though. I've got I'm trying not to hack and gag and die here as I do. Depends on who's chasing you. Typing to Rocky. Real quick.
Depends on who's chasing you. Start with a quick paced walk and
So
your
she was
body will tell you
saying,
when to run.
Start with a quick paced walk, and your body will tell you right. And that depends on who's chasing you, how quick you will take off running. But there's all kinds of one. Here's one that Michael might appreciate. It was our first day on the rifle range at Lackland Air Force Base. I felt confident as I aimed and squeezed the trigger of my carbine for the first shot. Good news and bad news, my instructor said. The good news, you got a bullseye. Before my head could swell too much, he added, but it was in somebody else's target. But bump. All right, here's one. Anyone wanting to take pictures on our base's airfield needed a letter from the public affairs, which happens to be me. One day, while I was out snapping photos, I was stopped by the military police, who asked me for my letter from public affairs. But I am public affairs, I said. Without a letter from public affairs, we'll have to take your camera, said the MP. I did the only thing I could do. I pulled out a notepad and a pen out of my bag and wrote a letter giving myself permission to take photos. The MPs read the letter and saluted and left. See, that's military police for you. That's kind of how they
Right.
do things. We used to refer to them as mechanical peanuts, just because.
You know what the saying is. If you want something done,
During
if you
a
want something done, do it yourself.
Exactly. During a combat medical training class, the topic was blast injuries. At one point, our very intimidating instructor pointed at me and said, "There's been a Jeep explosion. What would you do if you came upon an injured man with a steering wheel embedded in his chest?" Nervous and unsure, I blurted out, "Drive him to the hospital." For some reason, the rest of the room found that hilarious.
You're gonna get behind them and you're gonna put your hands around and get the steering wheel and you're gonna.
And in two.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Why not?
Yeah, I mean that's these things. I love the old military. Let's see. While serving as a chief medical officer at Fort Ritchie in Maryland, I attended a nearby wedding. Since it was a formal affair at the country club, I went in my officer's dress blue uniform. Once at the club, I drove to the entrance where the doorman promptly came to the passenger door, assisted my wife out the car. He then made his way to my side, but before I could get out, he pointed to the other end of the building and said, "The band entrance is over that way." Ouch.
Interesting.
Oh my goodness. Soon after arriving at basic training, we were marched to the barber shop where we were told we'd find a clipboard with our names on it. Next to our name, the sergeant said, "Initial it." Everyone seemed okay with that order except one confused recruit. "Sergeant," he said, "what do we do if we don't have initials?" Ooh.
Hmm.
Wah, wah, wah. That's bad.
Uh-uh.
True. Very, very bad. Let's see. There's a whole bunch of these things. Let's see. Our base Army Exchange Service carried a particular brand of underarm deodorant that I liked and bought for years. Then one day I couldn't find it. I asked an employee whether they still carried my deodorant. "No," said the clerk, "we don't. It was selling out and I could never keep it in stock, so I quit ordering it." Oh, some of these things. I was instructing new recruits when an officer entered my classroom and observed and report on my teaching styles. I thought I was at top of my day. I was top of my game that day. But he was quite scrupulous, as evidenced by the fact his written evaluation on me cited the issue. Instructor loses eye contact with class while writing on blackboard.
Mm.
Oof. Oh, you gotta love the military. Now, see, spot, run. Yeah, how do you see what's going on behind you? Oh, my goodness gracious.
I don't know. Some people are no logic.
Let's see. Comedian Martha Ray. Do you remember Martha Ray? She was one that
I
considered to have a great big mouth. Was a great supporter of the military and made many trips to Vietnam to entertain the troops. She also liked her scotch. One day I was told to report to my commanding officer, who ordered me to escort Miss Ray. He then added confidently, "We're already been through 3 escorts. There's only one I can think of she won't be able to drink under the table."
Oh my gosh. She was a wild one, wasn't she?
Oh my God.
She was definitely a
Those
wild
things, you
one.
just definitely, they just make your day. It's real life, real people. Let's see. When a Navy student pilot, I visited the home of a classmate. I met his wife and a baby, and was impressed that they had had his flight gear neatly laid out on the table, but something struck me as odd. Picking up some unidentifiable gear, I said, "I didn't get one of these." No, you're good," he mumbled. "That's my wife's breast pump."
Oh no. How embarrassing is that?
Let's see.
One more and we're almost at the end.
Okay, during KP duty, my sergeant ordered me to prepare 100 gallons of soup for the night's dinner. When I told him I had no clue how to make soup, he handed me a cookbook and instructed, follow the directions carefully. Not long after, I had a large kettle of soup simmering. The sergeant came in, grabbed a spoon, took a taste, and said, "That's really good. Um, are you sure you followed the recipe?"
Oh my God.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, it is about that time, is it not?
Yes,
Or
it
am I not hearing
is.
music?
Not
Am
yet.
I
It's
not
fixing
hearing
to
music?
come though. So everybody share us. Yeah, it's gonna be coming.
Please share and like us. Yes, yes, yes. Move us up
And we'll see y'all
the food
next
chain of the shows.
next Saturday at 8 o'clock.
Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe.
Happy Independence Day!
Hey, Chris. Okay. Thank you all for listening.